Okay, welcome folks. You're back here with John Souglides. Wonderful to be back with you. We've got another amazing guest today. We're going to be discussing tissue salts and the journey and the person behind putting all of this together for people. Amazing work that she's done, amazing experience. She's from South Africa. Her name is Eva Schoefeld and her website is www.atifa.co.za. Eva, welcome. How are you?
Good morning, John. I'm very well. And you?
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for joining us at this time where we can talk about health issues. We can talk about all these wonderful things. But before we get to the questions, Eva, if we could just start with your journey. How did it start for you? Where did your life unfold? How did you realize that you wanted to get involved in things like this? And then there are questions that I've got regarding health and what people can do, etc.
Oh, I do that with pleasure. Of course, like many of the health therapists, or however you want to call them, they have their own experiences health-wise, and that's exactly how I got there. When I still was living in Spain, in a house with lots of radiation, and a place where they sprayed pesticides and insecticides over everywhere,
Yeah.
I got quite sick and I got absolutely no vitality or energy left. So I went to the doctor, what I usually don't do, but I had to go because I couldn't do anything anymore. And of course they wanted to put me on antibiotics and I refused. I went to Germany, visited my friend, and there was a book on the table about tissue salts and facial analysis, and that's how I discovered it. And they actually saved my life.
Sure.
So I started to take them on a regular basis in the beginning, and I immediately could feel this incredible effect they had on me.
Fantastic. And can anyone take the tissue salts, Eva?
Everybody, even newborns, because we are actually made out of these minerals in our body. They are there for us, and if we miss them, we have, of course, many complaints, which I can easily talk about when we go through several maybe questions coming in, etc.
Sure. Please carry on about your life. So you had this experience, you consulted a physician, a doctor, and then what happened from there onwards?
When I was with my friend in Germany, and I was looking for a course because I wanted to learn about that.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately somebody cancelled, so the space was open for me, and no coincidences in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
So 2 weeks later, I was in my first course, and the whole journey started there. I was already at that time, I was working as a body therapist with many different modalities.
Mm-hmm.
And I just waited for this missing link. And I think tissue salts are just amazing.
Yeah. I've heard phenomenal. I mean, I give them to my pets because I dowsed and I checked to see what I could give, and I've had phenomenal results with him. I've used them, extensively through the years, obviously through sport injuries. So they really are great. But yeah, please continue.
That's perfect because all my animals get tissue salts, and I also have written a book about dogs and tissue salts, but it's in
the book's name, Eva?
It is a German book, unfortunately, but
okay.
Anyway, I tell it, maybe some people can read German as well. I still hope I can find somebody who is translating it. It's called Schüssler Salze und mein Hund, and it is published in Austria.
Okay. Well, maybe it would be an idea to translate it, because I know people are always searching for answers and searching for people that have had experiences, and obviously you've had first-hand experience on how the tissue salts worked for you and obviously for everyone else. But please continue.
Yes, I mean, when I was living in Spain, I was married to a dog behaviorist, so we had 3 dog training schools, and I had, of course, that was before tissue salts. And I was working with homeopathy and Jin-Jin-Jitsu and Reiki and all these things I had available with good results. But then later, once I have done the whole education about tissue salts, I could start implementing tissue salts. And it's just amazing how they work with animals. I had created here in South Africa a mixture for hip dysplasia because so many overbred dogs are just suffering bad time with hip dysplasia.
Mm-hmm.
And this mixture helps so much, and that's amazing.
Mm.
So besides dogs, of course, you can give it to cats. They don't like it so much, even they would benefit from it.
Mm.
But they have their own character, as we know.
Mm.
But we have also very good results with birds.
Mm.
You know, the birds who are picking their own feathers out so that they have nothing left, things like that. It's the same thing like with humans when they lose their hair. You can give the same mixture. And in a few weeks, everything is back to normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's amazing because I found with my pets in the past, there's no problem of having to put it in a piece of cheese or a piece of meat. They just eat it.
Yeah, that's true.
They love it. Yeah.
I still have only one dog left, but she is licking the tissue salts from my hand. She just loves it.
Yeah.
So many dogs really like them,
Mm-hmm.
and you can mix it with the food or whatever is coming up. And also the cheese is a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I initially I thought he's definitely not going to take, I had 3 of them, that they definitely won't take the tissue salt. And I found it was quite amazing that the one actually didn't want to eat the cheese, so he scraped away the cheese and all he ate was the tissue salt. And then I thought, okay, let me try it the next time. And then I realized you don't have to do anything else, just give them the tissue salt.
Yes.
What I found so amazing, I mean, nature is the answer to everything, but just also for the listeners to understand that when he didn't need it, he actually didn't want to. So he'd stub his nose up in the air and move away, and I thought, okay, he obviously doesn't want, but it was something else that he wanted. So when I tuned in, I thought, okay, there's definitely another flower essence, a tissue salt, sorry, and then I went through the different range that I had. There was one that I didn't have, went to the shop, and that's the one he started taking again. So they are very intelligent, the animals.
They have still this feeling what we lost, but also children have that.
Yeah.
So if you would put, let me stay with just the 12 tissue salts, they are usually available in the pharmacies and shops, health shops in South Africa.
Yeah.
If you would put all 12 tissue salts in not named pots, a child would go exactly to that pot where the need would be. And they take as much as they need. They stop when they don't need it anymore. Animals are exactly the same.
Yeah, and it's amazing that you said that about animals, because I know some of my friends that if they find like a stray animal or a wild animal, like a little thing, they do include tissue salts in their food. And the recovery time is it's a mind blow. It's an absolute mind blow. But obviously wild animals have got less issues and they're much more resilient to things. But it was phenomenal to actually observe and watch. But please continue, Eva.
Yeah. Now I would like to share a little story about an animal because it just makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
One of my consultants, she has a wonderful ridgeback, and he suddenly had a skin issue. Nobody knows where it comes from, and of course they want to give him cortisone, etc., but she didn't want that. So he prepared a mixture, because she's one of my stockists. She prepared a mixture for this wonderful dog and put it in the kitchen in the corner. Whenever he wanted to have them, he pushed her, and he's a big animal, he pushed her into the corner and showed exactly what he wanted. And he got his tissue salts. So things like that are just amazing. And it shows that, first of all, tissue salts are not chemical. They are natural.
Yeah.
They are coming from rocks and soils, from nature. Of course, there are companies, they are collecting all these things. They are selling them to the homeopathy and tissue salt preparers. But they are natural, and therefore they can't do harm. And maybe that brings me to Dr. Schüssler, what was the founder of this part of the biochemistry 140 years ago. It's a very long time ago. And he discovered at his time that the human body consists of 14 minerals, these 12 tissue salts, plus nitrogen and carbon. And so he also tried to find out what is the best way to absorb these minerals.
Mm-hmm.
Because at his time, when you were looking on a piece of soil of 1 square meter, you could find easily 100 different minerals.
Mm.
If you find today 10, it's a lot. So he found then out that if you would make them small, means giving a trituration, what is known from homeopathy as a potency,
Mm-hmm.
that they don't need to go through the whole digestive tract. They can go via the mucous membranes in the blood directly into the cells where they actually are working.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an amazing thing, because if you eat some stuff what is not good for you, and the body tries to get rid of it, but it doesn't have in the cells the needed minerals available, it will stay in your body.
Yeah.
And this with the toxins, with everything.
Mm.
So his discovery was a very important one. Even he didn't know at that time how important it is today.
Yeah.
Because our soils in South Africa, they are completely barren of the selenium, what is an immune booster, zinc, what is very important, and magnesium.
Mm.
So for me, when I came here to South Africa 8 years ago, I made the link to the aggression we have here. We have lots of aggression in this country.
Yeah.
And magnesium is a calming thing, you know.
Mm.
It's sedating people. If you look at the immune system, I mean, all this high amount of HIV, immune diseases we have here, could be linked to the missing selenium, because if you look at Senegal, what is also an African country, they don't have these immune system issues, but their soils are full of selenium. So there is also a link, to a geographical link.
Yeah.
As well.
And then, Eva, what would you say is it a man-made, well, in your view, is it a man-made issue that there's lack of magnesium and selenium, or is it just this is the way the land is in Africa, so to speak?
I mean, if you look how the farmers, the whole agricultural thing,
Yeah.
it's just not right done. They depleted the soils over all these years, planting always the same thing on the same place. Then all the pesticides and insecticides, it's huge.
Mm.
So, I mean, I have recently seen something what was really shocking.
Mm-hmm.
So they make tunnels, put the whole plastic into the ground, and then they open it and spray the whole tunnel, what is actually prepared for vegetables.
Mm.
Spray it with whatever you can. So all these plants growing therein, they never have seen sunlight. They're full of pesticides and insecticides, and that's what we are getting in our shops. And that's shocking.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did an interview with one of the ladies last year with regards to GMOs, and I mean, South Africa, 95% of it is GMO, and you know, our wonderful government, and I say that with all sarcasm, just like supports it, and yeah, let's get on with it. But I mean, there are other plants that you place next to, and this I've researched, next to vegetation that doesn't require pesticides, folks. So, you know, I'm going to say to the listeners, do your research. We don't need pesticides, really. There are other alternative ways to sort things out. But please continue.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. But it is just more convenient. Just spray it, you know. And I mean, I'm also a bit sarcastic in that, because it's really terrible what we get in our bodies.
Well, in Europe, on the weekend in Europe, there's bee farmers that are reporting millions and millions of their bees dying, and they're connecting it to the spraying of the farms next door. And by the time government there pulls its finger and does something, there might be zero population of bees in some of those European countries.
That is
all from pesticides. But yeah, it's typical ignorant human mentality that just can't wake up and smell the roses from the thorns, so to speak. But yeah, you know, that's how things are, I suppose, and people need to wake up. But yeah, please continue, Eva.
But of course, yeah, I totally agree what you say. And I mean, it's really terrible if we look what's going on. And we can also absolutely continue with the electromagnetic radiation. That's also a fact. But all these things are affecting our health. I mean, it's sneaking in, you know. Usually you can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't see it. So for people, it's inexistent. But it's there and it does harm. I mean, what I'm doing, I'm educating people in facial analysis. So if somebody has a lot of pesticide, insecticide, heavy metal, etc., coming from the fish and so on, I can see that in the face. If you can see it in a face, you can imagine what the body looks like, you know. So it's really a huge effect on our health, and people are just not aware of that.
Yeah.
But there is hope. I mean, we can do things. We can eliminate these things from ourselves. But not with chemical drugs.
Yeah, yeah, and it's yeah. I just want to come back to, because it's just something I'm being reminded to share. I had with the 3 dogs. Funny enough, that I had were all sick with different ailments, and when I was utilizing the tissue salts, it was such a gift to get your contact details through someone that I know and that you know, and then to just be guided in this whole like synergy and interaction from the universe brought us together, and it's beautiful that we've got you on air. But what I did is I placed the medicine that each dog was supposed to get, and I placed their relevant, which was not the same, tissue salt. And I know the scientific guys are going to argue with me and say, yeah, because they're used to the tissue salt, and I'm going to say no, that 2 of them were not used to the tissue salt, and yet they smelt the medical one, and the medicine, and they smelt the tissue salt, and all 3 took the tissue salt. So I mean, animals are certainly, besides them taking all our emotions, but so intuitive. Please, sorry, I shifted the conversation. Please continue.
No, I mean, it's amazing to hear from somebody else the same experiences I had, and I'm very pleased to hear that. Thank you, John.
No, pleasure, because I mean, for myself, the stuff that I've created in the past, so the listeners understand, the new listeners, I mean, stuff that I've created, and it's all alternative-based product. I mean, if someone's supposed to take 18 sprays a day, I'll down the whole bottle, and if I haven't died, then it's okay to distribute and all of that. That's how I work, and that's pretty much how the ancient ways of making and creating stuff. But it is very, very important. But don't you find the alternative way of thinking and alternative medicine, a lot more people are being drawn to? And that's where the pharmaceutical people are feeling threatened, because a lot more people are saying there are alternative ways to heal ourselves without taking and destroying, taking in the chemicals. I'm finding so many people are on that path.
Yeah, absolutely. There are more and more coming because, you know, if you have experience with medical science, I'm not denying it. They have their place in our world.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not saying anything against it.
Yeah.
There are alternative ways. And if somebody takes ownership of its own health, that is the first step.
Yeah.
And you can't just go and say, give me a pill and make me healthy. You have to do something yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing ever you say that, because I've met very, very staunch Western medicine thinkers, and they've admitted, the ones that have really been truthful with themselves have admitted when they studied medicine. I mean, these are like qualified medical practitioners, specialists, and they said that at the beginning they were very set in one linear way of thinking, that only chemical-based medicines. And through the years of going to workshops, reading books, what they're doing is they're combining both, and they're looking at it and they say the alternatives have their place as much as exactly what you said, the chemical base. And they're totally neutral. They're not staunch believers that there is only one way and their way is the only way. So I've seen people do that turnaround time, and obviously it takes time, but it's just amazing the unfolding, especially since last year, this year, where people are becoming more awake and more looking at alternative paths, if you want to call it. But yeah.
I totally agree. And I mean, we can't blame the medical doctors about not knowing about the natural things, because They haven't been taught about that.
Yeah,
The university is not teaching that.
yeah. Well, I mean, personally, I'm going to say I know the reason why that was done through history, to keep people away and to keep people in one mind, set of mind thinking. But anyway, it's good that people are discovering. I've said it many times. That's what the minds were saying. End of the calendar part of it is people are going to start falling into their own truths are going to be revealed. Many people are going to come forward and say, "This is what I'm offering, and it's going to make so much sense." And this is where we are today. We're just moving forward, and it's beautiful. So Eva, from there, from the skin analysis through all of that, what happened after that? What procedures followed?
When we do facial analysis,
Yeah.
it's not the skin itself. It is as a discoloration, furrows, dents, etc., puffiness, etc.
Yeah.
And due to that, our consultants are able to put together a whole personal mixture for this person. Where all the minerals, we are working with 27. I brought the number 13 to 27 to South Africa, and we have them as tissue salts. Actually, I'm not sure if we are the only ones, but as far as I believe, yes, we are. So they can go for a facial analysis and receive the whole container of all the minerals they need, and just they take it, they start slowly, and usually they feel in a very short time, they feel so much better. They are have more vitality, more energy. And if you don't have that, everything is heavy, everything is even threatening. So people very often, when they are missing minerals, they can fall into depression and worse even, burnout, fatigue. But of course, it's all linked to all these different minerals we are dealing with. So if you are losing minerals, and there are many reasons, part of it we already talked about, the pesticides, insecticides, the electromagnetic radiation is a huge thing. I would like to talk about that, maybe to have some time.
Yeah, no, definitely. We've still got an hour and a half, so we've got more than enough time. And if we need to get you on board again for another show, you're more than welcome, because this is seriously a topic, folks, that really helps you. And yeah, I see it as life-giving, definitely. Please continue.
Okay, then I will quickly jump into the electromagnetic radiation. There are so many people, they don't sleep well. They just have interrupted sleep. In the morning, the whole face looks puffy. They are so tired in the morning. They could have slept 8 hours, but they are so tired. That is usually a case when they are sleeping close to electromagnetic field or on geopathic stress.
Yeah.
So there are many reasons, and I would like to share this now because it's so helpful for everybody. If you are lying in the bed, and behind your bed, where the head is, and they're usually the plugs in South Africa. So that is one field. But if you have a cable running behind your bed, that is a huge electromagnetic field that is depleting you of a certain mineral. And if you are exposed to that, maybe you are also exposed to more. Maybe you have your cell phone beside on the side table. Then you are sleeping on an electric blanket, and so on. There are so many reasons why people are getting depleted, and I'm naming it now. It's number 5, Kalium muriaticum. And then the body can't detox properly anymore, because this number is related to the functioning of our glands. So if you are depleted, there is nothing left to detox the glands. So there's a huge effect of maybe obesity. First of all, also, you are always tired. Then also cystitis, spider bursts in the face. Nobody wants to have spider bursts, these red small things.
Yes.
So if you have this, you can be sure you are short on number 5, Kali-Mur, maybe caused by electromagnetic radiation. That's possible. So there are many possibilities, but this is for sure one. And if you have spider bursts, later on it will cause varicose veins. It's a continuing effect of depletion what can cause a lot of health issues. And also, your blood is getting thicker, so your circulation is not good anymore. And. So if you have these issues, maybe you should check your bedroom. Maybe you can move your bed a little bit. I mean, there are just lines going through your bedroom, and that is not non-scientific. It is actually proven that we are exposed to those things. If you would sit on a high electromagnetic field for maybe 10 minutes, that might be that it pushes you up, gives you energy. But if you sleep on it, it's depleting you.
Yeah.
So that's important to know. And I'm sure most of the listeners will have experienced that at some stage in their life. You're going out, you're sitting with your friends, everything is fine, you're happy, and suddenly there's something sneaking in. You get a headache or you just don't feel well anymore and you don't know why. So often, that it happened to me too. So I moved in my chair maybe 20 centimeters away, and then I have a feel again because I'm very sensitive to all these things. And I feel again, and oh, okay, here it's fine. So if you feel something like that, please notice it. It is a place where you shouldn't sit for a longer period of time because it's depleting you. So all these things are affecting our health. And on a long term, it will really do damage. If you use a microwave, it's not only that you are exposed to radiation, but you also have totally dead food. And the most shocking thing for me is that mums are warming up baby's bottle in the microwave.
Yeah.
That is so incredibly sad because the baby just gets dead food. There's no nutrients left, nothing. So there are more causes for electromagnetic radiation. Maybe also something what people are not aware of. Any metal in your body, if you have metal dental fillings, now of course that brings me to the amalgam fillings, mercury poisoning. That's also things we can see in a face. If somebody has mercury in their system, they don't actually need to go for chelation. Chelation is something they check the level of mercury or heavy metals in your body. I mean, if you want to know it exactly by a number, then you have to go for this very painful process, but you don't actually need it. We can see it in the face, and we also can see once it has the body left. And we have several mixtures for heavy metal detox. Of course, now it brings me to the food. If you are eating lots of green, organic, green stuff, it helps to eliminate these things. If you are eating only rubbish, sorry to say so, that will of course also cause rubbish in your body. And the body can't deal with it. Food is actually our medicine, and people are just not aware of that anymore.
I know, and you know what, Eva, I hear this so many times. People say to me, I can't eat right because I'm so stressed. I've got this, I've got that. But for me, my response to that is if you eat properly and you eat healthily and you look after what you're putting in your mouth, then you're not going to feel as stressed as what you were before.
Perfect.
But they just, it's just a totally different viewpoint for some people. But please continue.
Continuing with the food or the drinks.
The food, the drink, everything, please.
Did you know that 1 glass of Coke needs 32 glasses of water just to balance? Did you know that?
No, that I didn't know. The number that I was, it was out of conversation, and it wasn't because we did research on it, but the conversation we were saying, if you have 1 glass of or 1 cup of coffee, you need X amount of glasses of water to bring balance. But I'll be honest, Coke, we didn't even go there with Coke. We were just talking about coffee and tea. But that's quite a remarkable figure, sure.
It is, and Coke is, of course, in South Africa, you can see all the lorries with all the 2-liter Coke bottles.
Oh, yeah.
All the black people, they have just Coke, white bread, and midi meal.
Yeah.
If we are lucky, some of them have maybe a little bit of vegetables, but very, very rare.
Yeah, but don't you feel that that's also related to the society? I mean, South Africans are huge meat eaters, and I'm going to ask you the question about vegans and vegetarians because I'm one of them. But I mean, when I look around, I mean, people they just drool. If you say let's go eat out to a restaurant, yay, let's go to some place where there's meat. Huge meat eaters here in South Africa, huge Coke drinkers. But do you feel maybe it's related to the, like you said, lots of Coke, lots of wheat, and obviously lots of corn related food, because of the way the economy is, because of the dynamics in the economy, that it forces people to eat and drink cheap things?
There is for sure an issue, for sure.
Yeah.
But I also met some people from more countryside, also black people, and they eat vegetables. It's not that, because they are used to it. But most of the black people, they want to imitate the Western style, and obviously that is part of the Western style. It's not only the money, but it is also imitating the Western, the white style, what of course maybe in the past was true, but not for a long time, not anymore. And the problem is, of course, if they eat so much mealie meal, corn is, I'm not sure if there is any corn in the world what is not GMO.
Well, I was in Zimbabwe not so long ago, because I went to go and give a workshop there, and a lot of their stuff, I mean, I doused, when I picked up some mealie meal, or as they call sadza there, or here they call it pap, there wasn't any GM in it, and I was very, very surprised. And what I did is I took some, I brought it back to South Africa, and tasted it. And I'm very sensitive, just like you, to taste and it, but it was very different, and I didn't have that effect of feeling sleepy afterwards, or feeling that there was toxins in my body. I thought, actually, this is clean food that I'm eating.
That's quite good.
Yeah.
And my experience with Zimbabwe is also, I was running several workshops there. Due to the fact that they didn't have anything for a long period of time, they started to organize themselves.
Yeah.
So each of them has their own garden, and usually organic. That's quite amazing.
Yeah.
So I must say I'm very impressed the way how they deal with the situation.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it was phenomenal. I'm going to call it the infrastructure at that level, and they're very, very organized.
Yeah.
Then when I brought up the topic about GMOs and stuff like that within food, people started dowsing, because it was a dowsing workshop, and they started going through the different things, and it was absolutely amazing what they got, and what things that they discovered about their own country and about the food, and it was just beautiful to watch. And obviously, I did hear news that there are a lot of countries that are chucking out the GMOs and saying no ways out, which is good, because people are starting to go back to natural, realizing that through scientific proof that GMOs are scientifically being proven that they are creating problems. And I'm saying this on air to people's health. But anyway, that's a huge debate that people have, and obviously the people that support it will support it and push to favor it. But if we can just go back to the question regarding vegetarians and vegans, if you've worked with them regarding tissue salts, because obviously they've got to watch the protein. I mean, I fall under that category, the amino acids, the minerals. What would you suggest to vegans, vegetarians regarding tissue salts? I know it's always best to make an appointment, come and see yourself, or one of the people that you've trained, but just off the top.
Yeah, that is a difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
But what I can say, because we are not dealing with specific issues, we are dealing with mineral deficiencies in the body, what are visible in the face.
Yeah.
So in any case, yes, I'm not consulting anymore myself, because I'm running so many workshops. I don't have the time to really look after my clients, and that was the reason why I stopped doing it. But there are 300 consultants in Southern Africa, so there are sufficient available if somebody would like to know more about it.
Okay.
But what I would like to share is about the fact that most vegan vegetarians, they try to take the missing substances via vitamins and food supplements. And that is a big issue, because they are usually a huge strain for the body. First of all, the body doesn't know them. It's a foreign substance. They are too big. They can't enter the cell where they actually would need to work. So if you don't have sufficient minerals in your cells, speaking tissue salts, your body will not be able to absorb the vitamins and food supplements you want to take. So it's actually, to say so, the most expensive pick you can have.
Yeah.
It goes straight through. But once the body is supplied again and can fill up the 3 different deposits we have in our body, also of all single numbers, then the body is able to work with that and utilize it. That's not before.
Okay.
What I wanted to say, because you just brought something up about the dowsing. I'm dowsing as well, and that's how I find out about the radiation. And I'm sure many people will ask, okay, my pre-dad, I have radiation in my bedroom, but how do I know that?
Yeah.
So I would like to send them in your workshops.
No, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I've got one coming up, and with that particular workshop, just for the listeners, because I know often I speak about I'm running this workshop or did this workshop, but it covers from pretty much zero to hero, so to speak. And I'm sure with your workshops, because which is the next question I was going to ask, is anyone can come, and even if the people have no experience, like the last one that I ran in Joburg, I had a couple of people who were, I'm going to say, because now they're obviously changing the dynamics, total left-brainers, corporate people, thought, they're going to try this. They'll never ever get it. And trust me, they're one of the few that actually get it first, straight up, within like an hour. Boom. So that's the question that I was going to come to with you. When people want to come on your workshops, do they have to have spiritual or metaphysical previous understanding, or can they just come and say, right, I want to know about tissue salts, I want to know about facial analysis, boom, can I do this, or do they have to, is there a prerequisite, basically?
There is no, but if they have all this knowledge, wonderful, because they have a podium to share it there. But you don't need anything. You just need to bring yourself.
Yeah, and it's amazing that you say that, Eva, because a lot of people, even since I've been on radio since last year, where I get emails through my website, and people say, well, to meditate, it's, I was told it's a wrong thing, and then you see these people, anyone can meditate. We're all born spiritually evolved, and obviously through society people get tainted and all of that, but all the gifts are already there, and I'm sure you've seen it. I see it through my students that you start teaching them and suddenly they get that aha moment, and they might get it better than you or better than everyone else that you've ever taught, and it's just that particular thing that they get, and then it doesn't mean that it just might be this lifetime that they're supposed to be doing just that thing. So everyone is born with that evolved soul, and all we're doing is we just re-tapping into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
That is for me the fascinating thing in my workshops. It is the level 1, what is about the numbers 1 to 12, the classical ones.
Yeah.
There's a collection of people, it may be the mum, maybe an old lady, maybe a therapist, a GP, a homeopath. It's a mixture of people, and there is so much knowledge coming together. It's just amazing. It's not only about the tissue salt, it's far more. Yeah. And also at the end of the course, it's you can see how people are changing during the course, and it's just amazing.
It's a transformation.
Yeah.
And that's what I find with, and I need to say this, anything that's metaphysical, that really has beautiful, really refined knowledge and wisdom, because it is wisdom that we pass on. There's no hardship or hardness with trying to get the message across. That's what I'm finding. And I'm finding people are starting to come now and say, I did the course with you 5, 6, 10, 15 years ago. And there's a more refinement with them. And it's not to knock left-brainers and right-brainers, but something that's too left-brain, it's almost like they struggle with it. And what I find, what we do with metaphysical teachings, we give the left and the right, which is bringing in balance anyway, and that's what life's all about. I don't know, what's your interpretation of that?
You're absolutely right. I mean, to run workshops, is something, you know.
Yeah.
But it is more than workshops. It is tapping into a human, if you can say it like that,
Yeah.
taps into something higher. And it's amazing to see how people are actually open to that and actually want to go there.
And then, Eva, don't you find, just so that people can understand how the metaphysical workshops work, because it's everything beyond the physical, it's not like present, it's connecting. But don't you find that people, because it's my experience with the students that I've taught, they almost start blossoming immediately as you initiate this workshop. They immediately start blossoming, and then when they reflect back, some of them don't see it and they see it much, much later, but they see the changes within themselves, even if they haven't taken a product, there's just this shift in consciousness to an enlightened, elevated consciousness within themselves from the minute they finish that workshop. It's just a process.
That's true, yes, that's true. I never looked at it so closely from that point of view, but you're so right. Yes.
For me, I analyze. I mean, I'm constantly, my mind is left brain, right brain, both at the same time. So I see them transform. I see their auras transform and change. I see, and it's 90% of any form of healing is the realization, I need to go to Eva for a workshop. I need to go to Eva's student to get an analysis, or I'll go to John, but that's the initial process. That's the work. 10% is taking the tissue salt, taking whatever I make, or that's what it is, folks. It's not difficult, because people go into a space, society, I don't know if you're going to agree with this, Eva, has made people believe that if a symptom comes up, oh my God, your world's coming to an end. And it isn't. It's actually the other way around. The symptom appears, we have the 90% realization, the 10% is the work of getting something, taking something, and then if we have that mentality, we heal quicker. How do you,
Yes, definitely. You know, maybe I can quickly open a bracket here.
Please.
If I would go to a doctor, and as I said, with all respect, medical science has its place.
Yeah.
If I would go to a doctor, the way how they treat me, the way how they ask me, I feel more sick when I'm coming out of this practice.
Oh, yeah.
So if I go, for instance, for a facial analysis, or if I would be a client, there is somebody listening to me, there's somebody asking questions about me, about my deepest, about myself, because tissue salts are working in the cells. It is about cell information. That means also we have here a psychomatic component as well.
Yeah.
So if we only have somebody listening to me, it's by asking all these questions, people are learning a lot with the facial analysis, because they learn about the links of certain things to maybe complaints. Yeah. So if they learn about that, first of all, they are more connected with themselves. That is for me when the blossoming starts. When they are connected to their own core, to their cells, let's call it like that, then they are more here.
Yeah.
And yes, if you take ownership of your health and you want to do something, and you know, sorry, that's my belief, I am the only one can make myself sick. So I'm the only one who can heal myself.
Yeah.
There are no healers in this world. There are people that can take my hand and tell me where I have to go.
Yeah.
But not healing me. That's not possible. That's my belief.
You know what I say, because there was this whole controversy about how can people call themselves healers, and I've said this before on air. I'm going to say it again so that people actually understand. The way we work is the body tells us what it needs. So, like for myself, I will read the aura and I will communicate telepathically and say, what does the physical, etheric, mental, emotional, astral, causal, and all the other spiritual bodies require for me to activate and just create this memory, recall on its memory. So that's what we're doing. It's the person is self-healing themselves. I call it ever self-activated healing. because that's what we do. It's the body tells itself, please help me, I need X, Y, and Z here. Let me show you, or the therapist, these are the issues. Is that how you work?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this whole thing where I know why pharmaceuticals did it, and the people that represent them, to say how can you guys call yourself healers? Because it's the actual person that's coming and saying, I've got a headache, or the aura is communicating. And I actually challenge anyone that's in the very left brain thinking in medicine, go study aura reading, go study what chakras are all about, and then come and have the conversation, and not slander metaphysicians, because you actually don't understand this field. It is a scientific field, but on a metaphysical level. Yeah. Eva, please continue.
Yeah, I would like to hook there in, because I really like the way you are dealing with that. When we get a sign, the body needs something. What are we usually doing? Ignoring, suppressing it with drugs, etc. So would you do the same? Not you, of course. Would people do the same with their car? The car suddenly starts having a red flash lamp, So would you go to the workshop and say, take this red flashing lamp out? You wouldn't.
No.
You would say, check it. Tell me what's wrong with my car.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same way how we should do it. Yeah. If there is a red flashing light coming up with a headache, with a whatever, we should listen to that. But it's never convenient. People have no time. Everything is rushing. And no. Yeah, maybe I deal then with it when I have time, but it's maybe then too late.
But then, Eva, don't you think it's people that are not mindful? There's just no mindfulness about themselves.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the reality is, if they really give a good look at themselves, there's no mindfulness to society, to the animal kingdom. And I know people can say, which I have had before, oh, you're living in an airy fairy world. Well, reality is, if we don't look at nature and look after it, you can't survive. And nature meaning the animals that people eat, the vegetation that they eat, the houses that you live in, the paper that you write on, the laptops that you type into. If we don't look after nature, we can kiss ourselves goodbye. So it's going back to being mindful and saying, how can I treat myself? I mean, there's some really amazing work out there, and it's the same people's thinking, but in obviously different fields. And I've got some other amazing people coming on the show, and it's all about being mindful. Exactly what you say. How am I feeling? What do I need to do?
You are so right. I mean, we have a contract with the three kingdoms,
Oh, yeah.
We have that. But most people are just not aware of that.
Yeah.
Neglecting it, and then wonder why they get hit.
Yeah. And it's, you know what, I've said this before, I've been saying it from last year, obviously years and years, decades ago, I've been saying it, but now with being on air, I can get the message across the world. But if schools could bring back, and I'm not saying secret society, little stupid things that they teach within secret societies, I'm talking about real heart-based teachings, the world would be a better place, because from the children, that is what creates. But obviously, my research, speaking from myself, you get people that know manipulation starts from an early age, so let's go ahead and do it. But that's what my belief, I know it's going to happen, because I've seen it in a vision, but it's bringing like your teachings on a school level. It's to that philosophy, the wisdom. It's not the knowledge, anyone can have knowledge, but the wisdom, and say, and the society would actually be a better society with ethics, morals, values.
Absolutely. But of course, then we would need to change the whole system.
Yeah, but it's going to happen. I'm saying this. I've seen this in my visions. I'm saying it to the world, whoever's listening. The changes are inevitable. People that try to stop it, it's not going to stop, because the universe is on a roll. It's just a matter of time. So it is going to happen. So that's, that's the beauty of it. But sorry, just coming. I know we jumped. Because it's just so much to talk about, and it's so beautiful and such an honor to have you on. I love chatting to people that's so enlightened like yourself, and it's just beautiful, because that's meaningful conversation. This is really wisdom, knowledge, everything packed together in one. And it's just been amazing to have you on. But let's continue, please, because I know you've got a wealth of knowledge there.
I don't know where to start again because there's so much to say.
Yeah, I just take it from anywhere ever, because I know people are hungry. People are going to be listening to the show. I know it's going to be on as a podcast on my website, www.souglides.co.za. You know, people just go back, listen to, because it is words of wisdom. I'm not saying it to stroke our ego. I'm talking from heart space here, and listen to it, because there is a wealth of knowledge. And then Eva, your website is www.atifa.co.za. Please, from anywhere, just pick it up from anywhere we went off, because I know we spoke about the drinks, we spoke about the food, we've spoken about the quality of life. If I can just say, with regards to facial analysis, because I know when I looked at your photos, you've got photos where there's transformation and how you change, and you spoke about the electromagnetic fields. I mean, there's been so much research with regards to EMF, how it affects people, but yet society just ignores it.
I know, and that is exactly something I would like to continue, because electromagnetic radiation is also causing a lot of acidity in our body. It's not only the sugar, the meat, and all these things we are eating, if it's not in moderation, but it is also radiation what causes acidity. And if our body is too acidic, it will leach out calcium from our bones. It will cause gout, rheumatism, and all these pre-stages of really heavy illnesses. And we really need to look after that as well. Of course, there are people, they say, okay, I'm living my lifestyle, I continue with that, and I just take tissue salts. You can do that, but really successful it would only be if you would change also lifestyle. But the good thing is, if one starts really taking tissue salts on a regular basis, the right ones for them, of course. And I'm a fighter for huge amounts. And I'm just coming back to that later. If they would take that for a longer period of time, they automatically start changing their life. You can't avoid it. It is just like that.
And it's amazing that you say that, because so many times, I've said, it's so beautiful to hear you say that. Thank you. Because it helps the people that I've spoken to as well, because so many times I've said to them, the changes have to come within.
Yes.
And they're always running around, and they're so peed off with the world, and all they want to do is change their marriages, their relationships, their finances, their jobs, running away from themselves. And it's changing whatever's within changes the outside. It's coming back to that issue of the hologram within the hologram, etc.
Yes.
Yeah, please continue, Eva.
When I'm talking about huge amounts of tissue salts, it's of course totally contrary to what, or standing on each bottle of tissue salts, when they tell you should take maybe 3 tablets a day or something like that. If you really have issues, you need to have huge amounts, but you have to start slowly. You have to build it up. I have taken 250 tablets a day for 2 years to get out of the dip of the picture you have seen on my website, the first page.
Yeah.
And these 250 tablets, according to my deficiencies, the combination, they helped me so much. But the first month, and I knew what I'm doing because that's why I have taken so much, the first month I was sick like a dog because my body just wanted to detox all this old stuff what sits in the cells for many, many years. And if you don't have these minerals available, it will still sit there. So if you take tissue salts, you probably will experience, if you take a lot, that you have some reactions. Reactions regarding detoxing, because tissue salts have an incredible ability. They go backwards in your biography. They are cleaning out the latest issue. Maybe you had a middle ear infection a while ago and you had to take antibiotics because it was not possible to deal differently with it. So they will find this place, they will find all these antibiotics still sitting in your system and will clean it out. That can be via a runny nose, diarrhea, or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is actually a reaction what should be welcomed, because it shows there's something going on in my system and it's something good.
Yeah.
So once this issue is done, it will go backwards and backwards and backwards. And every time you have a reaction like that, can be just a small pain or something for a few minutes, and then it goes away. It's not that an illness or something like that comes back.
Mm-hmm.
It is just a sign that now we have dealt with it, we can continue with cleaning out all the old rubbish. I had several clients when I still was consulting. They were living for maybe 20, 30 years very healthily. They were eating lots of good stuff. They really were looking after themselves, but there was still something and they couldn't explain what it was. So if I looked at their face, I could see that there was old stuff somewhere sitting deep down in their cells. Mm-hmm. Pesticides, insecticides, smoking, alcohol, all the, the reactions from our body of these things.
Yeah.
And this is only possible to eliminate from our system when you have these wonderful triturated tissue salts available, what can really go straight into the cells and do the work. Mm-hmm. So that is a really incredible situation we have here. And if we go back to the acidity where I started originally, mm-hmm. If somebody is very obese and there is not a thyroid issue, it's just they can't lose weight. It's usually because they are still very acidic. As long as your pH balance is more, also very much more, in the acidic level, somebody can't lose weight. The body is holding it back. Mm. And that's maybe something what people should have a look at it, because it doesn't make sense to take diets, to use all these harmful things.
Well, yeah, sorry for interrupting, but you know what I find? The people that eat a lot of junk food, mm-hmm. besides their body being clogged up and lumps being clogged and the whole, I mean, I could go on, but they have an issue with dieting, and then even when they go on the diet, I know it's also based on emotions. I mean, we could have a debate on it for a long time, but the minute they de-stress, get rid of the acidic things that make them acidic, mm-hmm. They start to shift the weight out.
For sure.
Yeah, so you're very, very right on that one. Eh?
And I mean, it's just because of the link of our number 10, not phos, what is at the acid neutralizer. If somebody has, as if the body of somebody has to deal with too much sugary stuff or acidifying stuff, let's call it like that, and not getting enough green things into the body, what would balance it, then the whole not phos content, all the molecules are used up to deal with that. Mm-hmm. There is nothing left to deal with the fat metabolism, and that's why they get obese.
Yeah, and you know what's quite amazing as a psychological reflection, because that's how I caught myself doing that. If my body didn't require a particular food when I was going through a particular episode in my life, I was drawn to eating a lot more of it. So what I did is I stopped and did the analysis, and I said, okay, am I craving this because my body needs what's in there, or am I craving it because my body, it's almost like an indicator to tell me, don't have this. And that's what became the crave. It was the most remarkable thing ever. And then even with salt, when my body didn't need salt, I was being drawn to just put, and as I was pouring some, because I'm not a big salt eater, I was just pouring all the salt, and I started eating. I thought, no, hold on, what's going on here? And then I realized I actually didn't need the salt. I need more of a flush out.
That's incredible, because that brings me exactly to what's about here.
Okay.
You have cravings. That means, if in your case, the salt, yeah?
Yeah.
That very moment, your body was very short on natrium muriaticum, our number 9, what is the water distributor.
Yeah.
So if you crave salt, it means on a macro level, what is food, you crave that because you are missing it on the micro level.
Yeah.
So if you go for it, it will deplete you even more in the micro level.
Yeah, that's what I found.
Incredible. I never heard that from anybody before. Wow.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's with everything the same. If you crave, for instance, dark chocolate,
Yeah.
you crave probably, or your body would need the magnesium, what is in the chocolate, the dark chocolate.
Yeah.
So more you eat that, lower your level of magnesium in your body gets. So the cravings are not a good thing. And many people think, oh, what my body wants is what it needs.
Yeah.
But it's not the case.
Yeah.
It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
You're very wise that you have discovered that. Wow, I'm really impressed.
We all wise. We all wise. But please continue. Yeah.
As there are the cravings and the refusings as well. If somebody, for instance, can't stand, let's say, milk, can't stand it. Oh, it's horrible. It's the same thing. The body needs, on a cell level, in that case, calcium phosphoricum number 2. So that is all stuff you learn in my courses, and much more, of course, because it is not only about the tissue salts itself. It's about how do we get there, what is up there, and all the psychosomatic connections. I mean, I'm running the level 1, which is number 1 to 12. Then I'm running the level 2 course, what is 13 to 27. And the last one is the level 3, all the psychosomatic connections, what can cause mineral deficiencies, or you are born with mineral deficiency from deficient parents and you have this compulsive behavior.
Yeah.
So that is quite an interesting spectrum. And yeah, that I would like to jump in there, because if a mother, also not yet a mother, if a woman falls pregnant, or they want to fall pregnant, but she can't fall pregnant because the body wouldn't be able to support 2 lives, the body will refuse it.
Yeah.
Or if it's getting worse once she has conceived, she will maybe have a miscarriage, because the body just can't, from a mineral level, can't supply enough minerals to build up this life, this new life. So it's very important if a pregnant woman takes tissue salts, because what you have seen with several cases now, babies supported with tissue salts during the whole 9 months. When they are born, natural hopefully, not with a cesarean, when they are born, they have a wonderful skin, they look happy, they are relaxed. And if you compare it with the others what are already born with deficiencies, they are usually not so happy, they don't look so beautiful. That's what I have been reported from many mothers. So, and a child supplied with all the needed minerals to survive, or not only survive, to live actually, is of course a huge difference to the one what hasn't had that, what really has been deficient and struggling. So if you have children what have tantrums and all sorts of stuff, and you just don't know, might be because of minerals. But of course many things are coming later. It's a vicious circle when our parents are dealing with their children in certain ways what are, I must say, sometimes horrible. When I hear these stories, it's not nice.
I know. And can I just jump in there, Eva, as well? I knew a case years ago, I mean, I'm talking 2 decades ago, where a couple, they just couldn't fall pregnant, and exactly what you said. She went the alternative route, started eating very healthy food, increasing the minerals. She did go on tissue salts, funny enough, but you know, at that time I didn't go into the whole analysis. Now that you said, the memory comes to mind, and they actually fell pregnant. They tried numerous things that cost them an absolute arm and a leg. It was an absolute fortune. And then when they said, no, we're going to be calm about this, let's look at it, let's look at alternative routes, meaning alternative, you know, in their mind, they just thought something like an alternative thinking, not thinking, it's an alternative therapies, and they actually fell pregnant.
Yes.
It took years, but yeah, exactly what you said. The minute you shift things, bring in balance. It's all about bringing things into balance. Then you A for away.
Yes, absolutely. We see that very often. And I think that is the body-wise system. Our body is so clever.
Yeah.
And if we look at somebody who starts being depleted of minerals, it usually shows on not so important parts like nails, hair, teeth, bones. That's not so important for the body. More important are the organs. So if one can see that there's something not right and it starts refilling the deposits with minerals, this will sort itself out. But if you don't do it, the body has to struggle to keep up the whole maintenance, to keep up the whole work in the entire body, so that the body can do really everything what is needed. So usually that shows them with the sluggish metabolism and sluggish circulation. Everything is slowed down. And at one stage, let me quickly finish, at one stage, it is possible that then the body needs to go and fetch the last bit of minerals available from organs. And that's then the moment when people, so-called overnight, turn very sick.
And it's amazing that you said that about the internal organs, because the chakras themselves, each chakra is connected to each individual organ. So by working on that organ, you're also working on the chakra at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, phenomenal topic. And then we will obviously come back to some other things, but with regards to some questions here, what does a person do for badly cracked heels and dry skin? I mean, what are we looking at there numbers-wise?
That is actually a very easy thing. If you just look at the cracked heels, it's about missing elasticity in the body. And that means our number one, the calf floor.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah.
The most important thing, we also have in our range now, and that's new for South Africa, we have tissue salt creams.
Oh, really? Okay.
And they are really mainly also for cracked skin and things like that, also scar tissue, etc. They are just fabulous.
Sure.
There are some examples on the website as well with pictures, so we are really in a good situation. I'm very, very happy to have that. And in, I think, 2-3 weeks, we will also have, for the very first time in South Africa, we will have tissue salt toothpaste.
Oh, fantastic.
This is the teeth, yes.
And that won't have fluoride, I hope?
No.
Okay, thank God. Yeah, no, it's so amazing. I mean, there's a documentary that I watched about how much fluoride gets put in the water, and people are like, yes, it helps cleaning the teeth. And then the question is, do you know what fluoride does? No, it cleans teeth. And I'm like, okay, well, go do your research. So, yeah, thank goodness. Yeah, it's all going back to natural. I'm definitely going to get some from you. And then for a person that's got the shoulders and the stiffness in the neck, and they get tingling, on the like a numb feeling on the hands and fingers, That
is usually linked to lots of tension. I would use there, that's the best thing to do, is our number 2, the calcium phosphoricum, which is the agent for the voluntary muscles. You often see people pulling up their shoulders. It's anxiety and stress and etc. So they often have also tension in neck and shoulder, what can cause headaches or migraines, and even go to tingling hands and sometimes even feet. There's numbness. If the body is so tense, the muscles are so tense, there is no energy flowing anymore.
Yeah.
That causes that. So the number 2 would be very helpful for that. Also to sleep better, because very often we see people, they are so tense due to the stress from the day, they can't sleep well. And there is a wonderful mixture I would like to share with you right now, if you don't know it yet.
Sure.
It's for sure number 8, magnesium phosphoricum, and number 2, calcium phosphoricum. If you put them together, usually if you go to my consultants, we have tissue salt powder, what is the state before tableting. So we have a more clean situation here. So the absorption is also better. If you don't have powder, you have tablets. You go for maybe 7 tablets of number 8 and 3 tablets of number 2. boil water. You take half a cup of boiling water. You stir that in, and you take sip by sip. You keep the sip in your mouth for 30 seconds before you swallow, and you do that just before you go to bed. And you'll have a lekker slaap.
Okay, fantastic. And for the people, the listeners around the world who don't know what lekker means, an awesome South African term, lekker. But it's also German, hey?
Lekker is, yeah, it's also German and Dutch as well, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then with regards to people that take vitamins, I mean, I've had this before where people come in through the years and they say, I'm on this vitamin, that vitamin. I look at it and I think, oh my God, that's like too many vitamins. But, and they spend all this money, but yet they don't feel a difference.
Yes.
What could that be?
That's exactly the moment where you are very short on minerals in the cells. So the body can't really accept what you take in. And that is the same thing not only for vitamins and food supplements, also for food. If you are really very depleted of minerals, the body is not able to deal with the food, even not then. So the most nutrients, and also in that case most vitamins and food supplements, they just go through the system without any effect. So they could actually stop taking it, they don't feel a difference. So first take tissue salts before you take vitamins.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's important to support the body after a certain while of tissue salts also with the macro element. Then the body is able to take all these things and utilize it.
Interesting. And then Eva, with regards to people through, it came up when I was checking years ago. I haven't even researched it because it's just, things are hectic. I mean, I think I'm just as hectic as you. But for people that go through spiritual shifts, I find their magnesium levels decrease when they're going through initiations. And then they pump up with magnesium and then they find A4 away and then things just carry on. Is there any reason from your perspective why those magnesium levels get knocked?
Yeah, it's possible because magnesium phosphoricum is the working agent for our involuntary muscles.
Okay.
So it is for everything what we can't influence. And I think we are here more on another level than on a physical level.
Yeah, and a lot more people are seeing that, definitely. And then for the people that drink a lot of water, that drink, say, they're trying to drink 8 glasses of water, but they're not thirsty at all, but yet they go to the bathroom a lot, so that's the reason why they don't need to drink water. It's just a psychological, I'm going to the toilet a lot, so I don't need to drink lots of water. But obviously that's an irregular pace, and then they say that it's unpleasant that they're going to the toilet. What would you say there?
I see it often with elderly people.
Yeah.
That they say, that's such a schlep to go to the toilet all the time. And if I drink water 10 minutes later, I have to go. That is a very classical one because they are short on natrium muriaticum. NatMur is our water distributor. So if you are short on that, you can drink 5 liters of water. It will just go through. The body can't utilize what you give it. That means you are dehydrating. And very often we see also that people drinking lots of concentrated fluids like very strong tea, rooibos or black tea or whatever, they squeeze the bag until everything is out. It is so strong, that means the body needs to dilute this fluid before it can even assimilate and digest it. So if you have this situation, you are constantly dehydrating yourself. So rather have first a lot of NatMur, and I'm using now the names because in the rest of the world, mainly also in the German-speaking countries, we have different numbers. I can come to that later. It's not so important, but I'm working now with the names. Natrium muriaticum is the most important part of tissue salts because if we don't have enough fluid available, the body is not able to detox properly. The toxins will stay in the body. Yeah. The connective tissue, it's actually everywhere. Fluid, we have a fluid in our blood as well. We have fluid, water in every part. And if somebody, for instance, is very absent-minded or can't concentrate properly, not more would be one of the numbers, what is very important. I mean, our body is made up of at least 60% of water. Our brain is composed of 70% of water. So if the brain can't use the water we take in, you probably will also create a weak memory. You will not be able to concentrate, and there's so many possibilities. And if we look at the blood, our blood contains almost 83% of water. And this helps, water helps to digest food, transports waste, and most of all, it controls our body temperature. If somebody with a deficiency of number 9, was not more, will most often have cold hands and feet. Because of the body temperature can't be in a normal range because the body is not supplied with enough water. So old age is important. More they drink, more they are staying alive, actually. We can call it like that.
Sure. Interesting. Huh?
So there is, of course, much more, the fluid in the connective tissue, and maybe something important. If you have a cold, maybe to give you a little bit of a hint, the listeners at least. If you have a cold and your nose starts running like mad, take some number 9, not more, and it will stop. Because then the body has the needed working agents available to deal with it. If you have a running nose, it means only that your body is just short of number 9, not more.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Sure. And then, geez, I had a question. Obviously, it will come back. Here's another one. With regards to a person says, I'm 6 months pregnant and I have taken lots of Gaviscon, which is an anti-acid, I believe, for my burning.
It's a Parting's burn.
Yeah. Okay, and this terrible burning in the stomach right up to my throat is very unpleasant. I know that the antacids are not good, also not for my baby, but I don't know what else what else can help. What would you recommend there?
It's also the number 9, not more, because if it's not the heartburn, it's the burning from the stomach to the throat, and most pregnant women have that. And that's very common that they go for the antacids, and that is of course horrible. They would take every morning on a regular basis just a teaspoon or maybe 10 tablets in that case of natrium muriaticum. They will not have it. Body is balanced and it will not happen.
Yeah. And then Eva, with regards to tissue soils, for a person that's got dandruff, I'm using Head and Shoulders shampoo, but reading the label, I'm surprised how much harmful ingredients are used, though I'd would prefer to use another solution. What would you recommend? Because I know even some of the stuff that's healed dandruff and sort dandruff, and you see it on TV and there's no dandruff flags. When you read the label, it's like, oh my God, and the skin does absorb that stuff. What would you recommend there?
Yes. Okay, it's also number 9, not more. Interestingly enough, we are staying with this number, but coming back to the harmful stuff. I mean, this is just, if people would start reading the label, it would be so beneficial. But of course, first of all, they need to know what is not good. Yeah. If you don't know, you can read the label. It doesn't bring anything.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of an overview on my website about that.
And it's amazing. It's amazing about some of the stuff. If people just research, because I had the association organization a couple of months ago, anti-cruel. They're anti any form of cruelty in the world with products that are used. And I mean, some of these companies get shampoo, shove it in a bunny rabbit's eye or an animal's eye and see what effect it does. And if it doesn't inflame and fall out and lose its eye, then it's okay for humans to use. But that's the kind of BS that these companies do. And, people need to just realize that, when you buy a product, please be mindful. So yeah, so okay, so we can bring balance, like you said, with number 9. You said, huh, Natma?
It's number 9 as well.
And for
Not always and not only. There, it depends now. It is possible that even with a number 1, calc fluor, it's possible that somebody has like flaking skin. You need to look a little bit closer. If it's dandruff on a sticky ground, you know, you have the hair, it's in the hair, but it doesn't fall out. Then it would be the kalium sulfuricum. So there are several possibilities why dandruff can happen, but for sure it is caused by an imbalance. It even can be by a thyroid issue. That's also possible. But let me quickly come back to the harmful ingredients in body care. I remember when I left Europe, there was still a lot of paraben, propylene glycol, etc. in all the products. And when I started asking if there is something healthy, they told me, oh, you know what, it is not as bad as you think. You can really use it. It's not about that. But if somebody would, for instance, collect all the body care products they have and would read all the labels, and then suddenly they would realize how much harmful stuff is collected from the shampoo, from the toothpaste, from the body cream, and maybe perfume, what is carbon dioxide, etc. So it is a collection, accumulation of all these things, what is horrible. If you have just one product with propylene glycol, for instance, it's okay. But if you are looking what is in the shelves, even in health shops, it's all on petrochemicals.
yeah,
And I mean, that's waste from producing petrol. So it's horrible. So if you look at, for instance, homeopathic creams, and that's why it brought me to a more healthy version. All the homeopathic creams, what are so helpful, they are all based on petrochemicals. I just didn't get that, and that's why I wanted to have a really healthy, natural base for my creams. And I have it. It's all natural, and there are no harmful things in it. I mean, if you look at children, no, I'm not saying the name, it doesn't matter. They use for babies a certain cream what does more harm than it brings in. So I just don't understand.
Yeah, if that I can vouch for. I'll tell you, I've got a friend that's got an absolutely phenomenal quantum-based machine. So I started using one type of shampoo, and it just so happened that, yeah, let's just run some tests. Because for me, I'm like this mad scientist from a metaphysical thinking who wants to experiment with this and create. And obviously, I do things on myself to see what it does to me, and if it's okay, then it's fine. And you know, but what we did is, she said to me, "My God, are you working with a lot of toxic ingredients?" I said, "No, the stuff that I'm doing is all natural stuff." She says, "No." Then I realized, hold on, I've been using a specific type of shampoo.
Oh no.
And I went back, and she said to me, it's this toxicity, this toxicity, this toxicity. Now, I mean, there's no way she would know, and there's no way the machine or the program or this whatever would pick up. I went back, and I looked at the ingredients, I researched, and I went, oh, my God.
Yeah.
This is hectic.
Yeah, and you know, very often they are very well hidden.
Oh, yeah.
If people, for instance, are dyeing, as women are dyeing their hair, they are not aware of the fact that every time they put a huge amount of poison in their body.
Yeah.
But the same thing is if you have dogs and you need, because of the tick, you need to do something. And I really checked all the possible things around. I'm still sometimes with Frontline or with Advantix, doesn't matter which one. They are highly poisoning. So I need to give my dogs tissue salts before and after, and people are dyeing their hair. They would need to take a certain mixture where you at least can eliminate all this poison immediately from the body.
Well, have you seen the latest? I received some photos of someone that's doing a campaign against the advantage where you, for pet tick and flea, anti-tick and fleas, where you put by the neck. And so many people are getting reports now where they're saying that the hair around that area in their on the dog's body is actually falling apart. I've seen the photos. It's disgusting. And apparently rumor has it that they've strengthened the dose because of the type of flea and tick that's surfaced or whatever. But I mean, it's toxic. You smell it and you want to pass out and throw up. But here's a question. Do you think Coke is a viable alternative to losing weight, as I take it instead of a meal?
Sorry.
I know, I also had to laugh. It's not my question, folks. It's a question that's come through. So is Coke a viable alternative?
Okay, if you want to die early, yes.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. That is not a good idea because it causes so much acidity in your body. It makes you hyperacidic. It can make you hyperactive as well.
Yeah.
And it is just disturbing the entire balance in your body, the pH balance. It's acidity. It's acidic forming. It's too much sugar and the body actually can't deal with that.
Yeah.
So it will show with many different possibilities. For instance, bone stuff, osteoporosis. Sour smelling. If everything smells slightly sour, you can have problems with your lymphs, maybe swollen lymph glands on a long term, as it's for sure not a good idea. I would rather give you the idea of taking lots of green, make green smoothies instead of a Coke.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you have not a food processor, then at least eat green stuff.
And they are. I mean, I watched a program of someone in Australia that was trying to make a replica of Coke, but in a natural way, and he was adding apples and lavender and agave and so a couple of other things, and people were saying that the taste, even carbonized it, and they were saying the taste was better, but it was a healthier approach than, okay, not they shouldn't have put so much sugar, but it was definitely a healthier approach and a similar. You couldn't get the color right, but the taste, they said, was actually better than Coke. So I hope people can research it. And then Eva, with regards to, it says, I'm breastfeeding since a few weeks and I feel the need to detox. Is this a perfect moment for a person that's breastfeeding?
Oof. It's actually the worst moment, because if a mom is breastfeeding, ever she takes in, the baby gets it.
Yeah.
So if she would detox, the whole detox stuff would get into the baby. That would be the worst thing you can do. So breastfeeding, really, if you take tissue salts, but not to detox, just tissue salts for the convalescence, etc., that would be great, because the baby gets then also the tissue salts. But please don't detox. That is not a good idea.
Yeah, no, definitely. Huh? And you know what it is as well, why people want to detox or lose weight, it's this whole, I'm going to call it a cancer in a way of advertising. Do this program and look at this beautiful body and, lose weight. And people are just subjected to all this conditioning and programming and, detox so that you can feel all excited and everything. And I mean, people get paid to act. But anyway, that's my interpretation of it. And then here's a question, but we have touched on it. We are married for several years by now and would like to have a baby, but I just cannot fall pregnant. I've already paid a dietitian a visit, but we haven't been successful yet. Can tissue salts help? Yeah.
Sure. We talked about this already before.
Yeah, so folks, you can welcome to go back. Okay, here's another one. Since my surgery, I cannot tolerate the sun anymore. It feels like the sun would harm me. How is this possible?
That is very, very easily possible if somebody is very short on ferrum phos, means slightly anemic. The red blood cells are not in a good state, because usually after surgery, maybe she had a blood transfusion, possible, whatever. So this level is not right. And, if you go into the sun, it is wonderful. I love the sun. We need it. But we need to be careful, because the sun is also using up ferrum phos in our cells. It is a half an hour being in the sun is almost like hacking one stem of a wooden stem of a tree.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wood hacking. It's the same effect on the amount of ferrumphos what is used up just by sitting in the sun. So if the body, if you are in tune with your body, the body knows exactly, if I'm going into the sun, it will deplete me even more of the ferrumphos. It's a very important part of our blood. So if this is great that she is listening to it and she hears it, that the body doesn't want to go there because she is short on ferrumphos.
Lovely, huh? And then here's another one. My daughter had a traumatic accident. Even since she is not the same anymore. Ever since then, she's not the same anymore. She withdraws and has difficulties to make friends. How can we help her?
Yeah, she's obviously in herself, she is still in a shock.
Mm.
So that's what I usually recommend if somebody has a traumatic experience, if you have it at hand. You can use, of course, rescue drops or as flower remedies, but more helpful in my terms is the calcium sulfuricum, which is here number 3 and in Europe number 2. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's calcium sulfuricum. It will help to get out of this shock quickly, so that it can't manifest in the body. If the shock hasn't been treated on a cellular level, it will manifest. And that can, for instance, show in people are struggling with making friends, they are withdrawing from life, they really have a problem with to bring the two worlds together, the inner world and the outer world. So they are really still somehow in a shock situation. So it's important to give them the number 3 as fast as possible, and also hot if you can. If you have acute situations, please give the tissue salts that are related hot in the half a cup of boiling water. So it's an important one because it's about the connection between the inner and the outer world, and the shock can separate this. So it will not only cause also acidity in the body, but also often loneliness.
Okay, brilliant. And then here's another question, and I hope because I've been teaching martial arts since the 80s, so I hope some of them are listening to this. Whenever I go to the gym, I have aching muscles the next day. I'm living quite a healthy lifestyle, but I cannot get this sorted out. Is there a tissue salt to help them?
Yes, there are actually 2 tissue salts. So if we are going for exercises, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We need oxygen in our system. Number 4, ferrumphos, is bringing oxygen into the system. So if you take before your exercise, your competition, whatever it is, quite a lot of ferrumphos, and afterwards, when it's finished, you take kali salt, number 7, you will not create lactic acid. If that had happened already and you have forgotten about it, then at least take number 10, not phos, to get this acidity out of your system.
Lovely. And then here's another one. I'm also so tired, have not sufficient energy to get through the day. I am only 23 years old. What is wrong with me?
Now we should know a little bit more, but it sounds very much like acidity, because if somebody is very acidic, they usually don't have much energy. It's very conscious people know that if, for instance, they eat something sweet, they get a moment of up before the downfall comes. So I would actually go for an acidity. If she is in South Africa, I would go for an acidity mixture. What consists of, I give that quickly, of calcium sulfuricum, here number 3, then nut phos, here number 10, and number 12, silica.
Okay.
Just take these 3 numbers for quite a while. That would help with the acidity. If it's more, she doesn't write anything about depression or so, no?
No.
No. Okay, then we leave it like that.
But I think that sometimes people, when they're feeling that exhausted, an aspect of depression will come in because they're feeling very out of it. And then here's another one, which I think is a very good question for people that work with other people. In my profession as a therapist, I'm exposed the entire day to other people's energy. Sometimes I'm so exhausted after a day's work that I'm in bed at 7 p.m. I don't think this is normal and would like to change it. So what advice from a tissue soul perspective are we looking at there?
Oh, wow, that's a very important one. We have one number, and that's number 6, Kalium phosphoricum, what is actually the energizer.
Mm-hmm.
If you are exposed to all these foreign energies, or you're working with people, they suck your energy.
Mm-hmm.
So even during the day, the therapists are usually so tired, and if you would look in the mirror, you would see a gray face.
Mm-hmm.
So number 6, Kaliphos, for all therapists, please take it throughout the whole day, because then you are not so tired in the evening. Mm. And you are not so exhausted and not so depleted, most of all. Because if you take it in the evening and it's an energizer, maybe don't sleep so well because you have too much energy. So it would be a good idea just to take throughout the day Kaliphos, the whole day.
Fantastic. And then here it says, I have this ugly diagonal grooves on my fingernails. Nobody can tell me how to get rid of it.
Hold on, diagonal they are linked to the silica, number 12, and to number 1, half fluor. So it is a very clear sign that your mineral level in your body is out of balance, mainly also because of acidity.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Number 12 will help a lot with that.
Okay. And then, Eva, here's another one. Is it normal to take every month at the beginning of the menstruation several painkillers as the cramps are so severe? Shame. Sure.
Yeah, that's horrible. No, it is not normal to take it, and if you can go off it, it would be great. Because it shows a very clear and quite big deficiency of magnesium phosphoricum, our number 8. Magnesium phosphoricum shouldn't be taken just like that. You can take it as a painkiller, as a biochemical painkiller, if you have it. But better would be to take it throughout the whole time. Just to refill the deposits in your body, because they are quite empty and they get even more empty through the months. So take it for a long period of time, but when you have it as a painkiller, and also for headaches as well, it's the same thing. Take again the hot 8. Remember, half a glass of boiling water, 10 tablets, or 1 teaspoon of magnesium phosphoricum.
Okay, fantastic. And then, is that it? That's all that they need to take?
Yes.
Okay. And here's another question. My husband has so often heartburn, but he utterly refuses to take Reni I'm offering. He wants to have more of a healthy solution, alternative solution. What would you recommend there?
Fabulous that you have such a husband. So I would recommend that you take number 10, not phos, because it is caused, the acidity in your stomach is causing heartburn because of an imbalance and not a non-availability of the working agent, natrium phosphoricum. It's just that. You just take it like that. You can also take it hot if you want. In acute situations, you always can take it hot. But you also just can take 1 tablet after the other, or you take 1 teaspoon in your mouth and let it dissolve.
Okay. And then Eva over here, it says many people are convinced about tissue salts. Definitely. I tried them and took 1 tablet daily, but this person can't feel the difference. What would you say there?
Yeah, that is what we had before. If you just take 1, you can't do any harm, but you also can't change anything.
Yeah.
You need more. He needs more. And I would like to refer again to Dr. Schuster 140 years ago. At that time, maybe 1 or 2 tablets would have been enough. They haven't been exposed to all this stuff we are.
Ah, yeah.
Food stuff from radiation, etc. At that time, it was different. The food contained still lots of minerals, what is not the case anymore.
Mm. And then Eva, next question over here, which has come through. How come doctors don't use tissue salts?
I would like to change it, but it seems to be a bit difficult.
Yeah.
Doctors are not educated in that part,
Mm.
even not about nutrition. If they have half an hour of nutrition in their education, it's a lot. So they don't want that. They don't know anything about it. So therefore they can't use it. But fortunately, we have more and more GPs. As you said before, John, they are more interested in alternative or complementary medicine and are trying to help their patients with more healthy things instead of just only giving one single drug.
Yeah. And it goes down to, and I'll say this on it, it's the arrogance where some of them believe that they've spent 7, 8, 12, 15 years of study, and that's the only way, and that is a very ignorant way of thinking, because there's just so much in the world. And my belief, I mean, I do the same. If it comes up intuitively, dowsing, whether God's spoken to me, an angel, or God itself, to say you need to refer this patient or this person. I don't like to call them patients because it means they've got to be patient for all their life. But this client to someone else, then I check and see who's the right person spiritually that comes through that I need to send that person, and I'll do it. But a lot of them, don't like to do that. But anyway, another debate, another topic. Are tissue salts beneficial for athletes? That's the next question that's come through.
Oh yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Because athletes usually lose a lot of minerals via sweat, etc., stress, and so on, and also to avoid the lactic acid, etc. So we have several mixtures for sports people, and I know several people using them, and their stamina and endurance and everything is just almost doubled.
Yeah.
It's just amazing what they do. And also for the extreme sports people like the Ironman, etc., or marathon people, they have a shorter recovery time with tissue salts. They are back on their feet very quickly again.
And it's so amazing, Eva, that you say that, because I mean I've gone through just research that I've done just to look at. I mean I'll sit there for half an hour in the shop, pretend I'm looking at things, and the amount of money that they spend on these recovery aids. And I've sat there and I thought, oh my God, if you only knew a fraction of the cost for something alternative, and that's actually part of what your body's got anyway, you definitely wouldn't purchase. But I know it's all about money making in the world. But yeah, the alternative. Okay, here it says the next.
Hold on a second. I would actually love to go into the doping stuff. Instead of doping, give tissue salts.
Yeah.
But I still couldn't find the entrance to that. But maybe it will come.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of people are turning and looking. I mean, I've dealt with people that have taken steroids and the stuff that's happened to them and their body, and it does take a long, long time to recover. But it goes back to education, like you said. If people are educated, which is exactly what I said about taking it to the schools, getting the younger ones to, and the teenagers and everyone to actually understand. What I'd love to see in South Africa, instead of sitting with this mumbo jumbo, take this medicine, is actually have once a month program on health issues and how to deal with it alternatively with proof, because the proof is there, and then people can become educated. But people are just sitting on their backsides and not really interested. But anyway, we'll get to that at another time. Here's another question. I'm on a permanent medication. Could I take tissue salts?
Yes. Tissue salts are working on a different level. As long as you do not take eliminating mixtures, then you just to support the body. Maybe I can give you an example. We have several people on chemotherapy, and if they have decided to support the system with tissue salts, I've created a specific mixture, which is also in my book, Second Chance, and they have never lost any hair. They didn't vomit. They just felt okay and they could go through the whole thing. If somebody has decided to go through this route, I think that they need to support the system. So whatever other medication you can take tissue salts. It doesn't do harm. It doesn't change the effect of the medication.
Yeah, and usually the majority of the times, I mean, any natural substance works with other medication. It's very rare, I find, that something will clash. It practically almost doesn't. But definitely the tissue salts. I know people that have been terminally ill that take that with their medication, and it's actually supported them. Here's another question. My son is very bad in school. He can't concentrate, and learning learning is a huge thing for him. How could we help him?
That is, again, a very clear sign of a mineral deficiency.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, the ferrum phosphoricum, for sure, the kaliphos, and the natmur, and also the magphos. I have created a so-called power mixture consisting of these numbers, and that is so helpful. But don't take it just a little bit, and that brings me to the other thing. People are usually dealing with tissue salts like they would with chemical drugs. Take it once, it's done. You need to take it for a longer period of time just to refill everything. And I mean, as I said, I have done it for 2 years. I still take tissue salts every day, but with these amounts, I have done it for 2 years. And until then, I couldn't tolerate anything else. But then my body started to recover because everything was available. So if you have a child who can't concentrate and has difficulty to learn, please, lots of ferrum phosphoricum, kaliphos, natmur, and magphos.
Brilliant. And then Eva, here's another question. My sister fell in a depression a while ago, and I'd like to help her in a natural way. What would you recommend?
I have a wonderful example. One of my acquaintance, she is in a depression since many years actually, and she was on antidepressants also for a long time, and it just didn't get better. She looked like her own death. She really looked horrible. And I have put her on tissue salts, the same mixture actually, like I just said before, for learning, but most of all the kaliphos. This is the energizer. If somebody doesn't have energy, it's easy to fall into a depression. So it's very important. Anyway, she has taken this power mix for, I think, 2 weeks, and then she decided, after 2 weeks, she decided to wean her off the medication. She is today off. After, I think, 2 months or so. I don't take anybody off medication, but it was her own decision. She just said, I don't want that stuff anymore because it does actually more harm to me than it helps. So she is now, most of all, she's on number 6, kaliphos, what is the main number for depression.
Yeah, fantastic. And then Eva, sorry, we've got about 6 minutes. So I'm going to try and, if we can, race through these next questions. Okay, we did speak about, because here the question is, in South Africa there's only 12 tissue salts, but there are more, like you said. Exactly how many more are there?
There are 15 more, number 13 to 27.
13 to 27. And then obviously those aren't in the shops, that get them from yourself or your practitioners that you've taught. And then what is a facial analysis, and can anyone do that?
A facial analysis is reading the face, bring it in context with the physical signs to see the grade of the deficiency. And we read the discolorations. For instance, there is green in the face, or bluish, blackish, the dark rings under the eyes, the pimples, etc. All these things.
Yeah. Okay. And then here's a question which I'm going to say, please don't do self-analysis. Rather go to a professional. And it says, I don't need tissue salts. My blood count seems perfect results. And just my body feels tired.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a very classical one because the blood count only shows the level in between the cells but not in the cells. And actually the only way to see the mineral content in your cells, the state of minerals, is actually via the facial analysis. There's no other way to see it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And here's another one, quite an interesting one for parents. It says, my son craves tomato sauce. He wants it with every single meal. I hope not with breakfast, but anyway, does this have some meaning?
It does. He's very short on number 2, calculus.
Okay. And then here it says, I know that headache pills are not good for me, but I couldn't get something, what? But I couldn't get something else really working. Sometimes it ends up with a migraine. Okay, so they've got a problem there.
Again, number 8, MACPOS for sure, but better would be if somebody for a long time has this issue, they should go for a facial analysis because then we really need to address all the deficiencies.
Yeah, definitely. And then here's another one. Is there anything you would recommend for constipation?
Yes, also it's MACPOS again, but there's also a whole mixture. And also usually very much linked to missing drinking or being short on nut more and the water can't be used. So everything is too dry.
Okay. Here's another question. I'm using Aqueous cream for my eczema, but it really gets worse. But I was reading on the internet that this cream is so good.
Mm-hmm. Do I need to comment?
Yeah, no, we've touched on it. I'm going to say, folks, listen to the podcast, see what goes in it, because I mean, anyone that's got huge amounts of money that wants to sell their product, they'll do the greatest amount of advertising, but you got to do your research. So yeah, definitely anything that contains chemicals,
Yes.
Please research.
Yes.
Okay, here's another one, and it seems to be the last one. Yeah, it's the last one. Okay, it says, whatever I do, I'm sweating big time. Also, hand sweat and smelly feet. The doctor wants to operate on the sweat glands. Oh, God, please no. Is this the right way to go? No. I'm going to say no from my perspective, but from your perspective, Eva?
So a big no, 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 no. Take lots of silica, number 12.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so, it goes back down to the education, is people just educate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I've heard this thing before. People sit and fuss about they've got to pay X amount for a workshop, and my response to is, how much is your health worth? Because I mean, for a little bit of money, if you put into if trying to balance what your health is worth, you just can't. But every cent is worth every workshop that's going to promote your health. Eva, it's been absolutely amazing to have you on. Thank you for organizing the time. Also, thank you to Renal for putting me on to you. Renal from South Africa. A big thumbs up to her as well. But Eva, in closing, I'm just going to repeat your website. It's www.atifa.co.za. Any words of wisdom that you want to share with the world out there? Anything that you'd like to share?
I would like to say thank you that I have the opportunity or had the opportunity. It was really an absolute pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that many more people are getting on tissue salts. It's not because of business, it's because of health.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, if one looks at it, I mean, the cost is minimal for tissue salts. For what you're getting, it's phenomenal. But Eva, it's been an absolute pleasure. I know we're going to have you on again because there's just so much to talk about. Unfortunately, my program, my show is only 2 hours. So, yeah. Again, your website is www.atifa.co.za. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us here on both our radio stations.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you. God bless.